Good morning, lovely people. Good morning, lovely people. One more time. Good morning, lovely people. I love you all. Instead of our regular instrumental prelude, we've got a new song for the congregation later in the service. So Jen and our assembled voices are going to lead us in learning how to sing it. Jen, do you want to say anything more?
Sure. So this is a lovely piece. You'll hear some harmony, and later in the service you can feel free to throw in your own harmony if you'd like when it's your turn to sing along. This is a piece by Ruth Haber, and Ruth writes that "Courage to be who we are" was written to commemorate the life of Gwen Amber Rose Araujo and to celebrate the lives of beautiful and courageous trans people everywhere. So just to get the melody in your ear, we will perform it for you.
Do we want to go into 2 rows as practice?
Now that's how to start a time of worship. Bonjour, mes amis. Welcome everyone to the First Unitarian Congregation of Ottawa, whether you are here with us in Worship Hall or watching from the comfort of wherever you may be, know that you are welcome. I'm the Reverend Eric Meter, this congregation's lead minister.
And I'm Lee, your rookie worship associate this morning. We acknowledge that our FirstU campus is located on traditional, unceded, and unsurrendered Algonquin Anishinaabe territory, and that the work of reconciliation is a responsibility of our congregation and of all Canadians. We understand to be of service to those who are at risk and to advocate for justice.
This morning, on this eve of Trans Day of Remembrance, we pause together to reflect on how love calls us to be and do in this world we share. Let's begin now by joining our voices in song. Please rise in body or in spirit as we sing together Everything Possible. You'll find it as number 1019 in your teal hymnal. The lyrics will be on the screen above, and Jen has something to say about it.
So just a couple words about this hymn before we sing it. Everything Possible was written by Fred Small when he heard the distress of a friend whose 9-year-old son came home from school crying because his friends no longer hugged each other to show they liked each other. They were being violent and hitting each other instead. And she wanted a song that she could sing to him to affirm the freedom to live and love as we choose, and in particular, to grow free from toxic masculinity. And the result was this lovely, gentle lullaby. The language of the song is rigidly rooted in the gender binary, which in particular is exclusionary to non-binary people. This is something the composer has wanted to revise, and I actually had ambitions to take a stab at it myself this week, but as some of you know, I've had quite a week, so didn't quite have time. So I will just quote Fred Small, the composer, and say, "It's not an easy fix, but for now, my hope is that you can dream all the day, never reaching the end of everything possible for you, affirms an infinite range of sexual, affectional orientation, and gender presentation and identity." So we sing it with that in our hearts today.
And if you can create an arch on this aisle with your arms as our children pass, that would be great. Thank you.
And now we turn to how we are together. As health, are there centering words on here? I'm just going to read the script as it says. As health challenges continue, do take care and take advantage of online opportunities at FirstU to stay in touch. If you are new to FirstU and would like to learn more about us, please contact us through our email at welcome@firstunitarianottawa.ca. And if you're right here in Worship Hall with us this morning and would like more information about FirstU, it is available at the welcome table at the back of the pews. And now here is Amy from our board to highlight some announcements for today.
Uh-oh, might have a problem. We're gonna just wing this. Hi, everybody. So good morning. The first thing I'm gonna talk about is the retirement of Marianne O'Hagan from being the chair of the person who ran the caring committee. So it reads, "One of the best things about our congregation is how we care for each other. And our caring network facilitates much of that support. We are seeking a replacement for the caring network's volunteer coordinator who is retiring December 31st of this year. A main focus of that position is to support the volunteer caring contacts who you see sitting at the caring table in the back, so with the cards, each Sunday. Responsibilities of the coordinator take about 4 hours a month, and if you think that you'd be a good fit for that position or know somebody else who might be, then please contact Mary Ann O'Hagan, who's waving near the back. She'd love to hear from you. Our second announcement is that I'd like everyone to stand and give a big round of applause to Carol Card for the amazing fall fair yesterday. Woo! Wonderful, thank you. It was amazing. It was wonderful. Do you have an announcement for us, Carol, as well? So that was our intro for Carol to come do an announcement on behalf of the fall fair, which again was awesome, and I hope you were all there.
Yes, I think you're all expecting an announcement, right? Thank you for the applause. I was applauding all of you, and I'd just be interested in a show of hands if you contributed in any way, donating, baking, volunteering, leaders. Yeah, it really does take more than a village. It takes a big city to put this on. So thank you all. It was great to be back to a full-sized fair. Last year we ran it on a smaller scale, so it was great to kind of have everything going. We had lots of shoppers, we had great weather, and great team spirit all week and before, and so thank you all for that. I will just say that there are post-sale, meaning there are Sunday sales still, so knitting next door here, books downstairs, silent auction items are for sale. Am I forgetting any? Don't think so. I think it's just those 3 areas. So please visit them. Please continue to contribute to Fall Fair. It's a great fundraiser for our activities here. And I will say that I know, this is not what you want to hear, but one last thing before I get to what you do want to hear, and that is that we could really use some extra volunteers for the cleanup, which continues today. So if you have 20 minutes or an hour or whatever you have, we need it in 2 areas. One is tear down, so, moving things around and that sort of thing. So you could meet for that in Fellowship Hall, meet Mike Fletcher in Fellowship Hall after coffee hour. The other area is packing up, and we have a particular need in books. So we need people to put not boxes in books, books in boxes. And so that would be in room 2. And you could go either directly to room 2, or for general other packing, you could go to room 11 before or after coffee hour. So now we need the drum roll. Don't have a drum roll. Anyway, oh wow. This is one thing that's been really reinforced. Ask and you shall receive. I mean, a number of times I've said, I don't know who's going to do this. I don't know how we're going to get this done. And it happens when you reach out. So our current amount of revenue, which will continue to increase, is a bit over $34,000 raised yesterday. So well done, everyone. And importantly, that's about a 12% increase over last year. But I will give you a more exact number, a more final number as we go on. So thanks again, and it's been great. Thank you.
Thank you again. Oh, look, I don't even have to. Thanks, Carol. Again, thank you for running such a great fair. We encourage you to sign up to receive the EUU, our weekly email newsletter. Check out Facebook and Instagram, as well as our other websites for notices and updates. Our calendar continues to be as full as ever, although some of our activities do take place online. This morning, each of us is welcome. We, of any heritage or faith, whatever our burdens, of any culture or race, of any gender or orientation, in any body, all that we are, today we are all a part of the spiritual community.
Thank you, Amy, Carol, and everyone who made yesterday and today the day that it is. Each week we pause in our time together in recognition of both the joy and sorrow in our lives and across the globe. We honor our celebrations and challenges by placing a stone in a bowl of water. As the ripples extend outward, we can imagine them continuing out beyond the small bowl in front of us, out through and past our pews, out into the larger community of all. A stone for all the joy that took place yesterday, the generosity of the people coming together, working so well together, stranger and longtime friend alike. And a stone for one of our early elementary child caregivers, Crystal, who gave birth to their first child this week. A stone of sorrow and condolence now for Jane, who lost her sister, Louise Maxfield, this week. And a stone for Anne and Phil's sister-in-law, Micheline, who has just been diagnosed with blood cancer. A stone for her and her family. And a stone for the members of the Unitarian Fellowship in Kingston on the death of Sarah Adams. Sarah was a recent member here in our community and also a long-standing member of our Kingston Fellowship. And now, please come forward to honor the joys and sorrows, the challenges in your lives. Come forward and place a stone, if you will, in one of our bowls. For all that we carry and all of the love we share. Carrying cards for Jane, Anne, and Phil, and members of the Kingston Unitarian Fellowship are at the back of the hall at the caring table for us to sign. Even if you don't know these people, this is a way for us to extend our care on behalf of those who have done so much to keep this community as loving and vital as it is. I invite each of us now into a time of stillness and reflection. After a few moments, Jen will bring us back together through the sound of music.
This morning's reading is adapted from Paul Langston Daily. This is a day of remembrance, to recall those whose very being was not seen as a divine gift, but seen instead as different and dangerous. We mourn their loss, their contributions to this world cut short. And in these times, when so much we have worked for seems to be unraveling, I see a call not just for remembrance, but also for resistance, resilience, and love renewed. We hold within each of us the spark of the divine, the love of the divine, the image of the divine. We hold within each of us a sense of need, not want, but need, to both be visible and invisible at the same time. Visible to those with eyes to see, invisible to those who see difference as dangerous. We hold within each of us the need, not want, but need, to build brave space around us where we can move and speak and be witnessed in love. Even as we face the death of so many of our siblings, we recognize the power of our struggle, not just for our own liberation, but for the liberation of all. We bring attention to the false dichotomy. We threaten the binary. If the binary is not valid here, where else does it fail us? This is not an idle threat, but one that challenges the very foundation upon which the white, cisgender, heteropatriarchy is built. To resist this binary and invite something more profound. To be intentional in our resistance, our disruption, to know that our very presence is our power, and our power could be legion. We enter spaces, transgress the binary by stealth or invitation, inviting a deeper conversation, the possibility of opening perspectives. Whether we are visible or invisible, we build brave space around us, space where we can claim our truth and we are witnessed, providing us the strength and the choice to remove our shoes and offer them up to others in the name of understanding, empathy, and love. Resilience comes from the belonging and love of community, from the memory of those who have gone before us. For them, because of them, we remember, and we recommit ourselves to love once more.
Our anthem today is going to be performed by Three Rivers with some guests. Today, I was hoping to have baby Kip dedicated. Unfortunately, he's been sick. But fortunately, some of the friends who I invited to join me for his dedication are still here to sing with us today, this piece by Huddy Ledbetter.
I am gonna have to have a talk with the person who puts our orders of service together, because there is no way, even on my best day, I can follow an act like that and do them justice. Thank you. I also want to say before I begin in earnest that I am sharing this time. It didn't make it into the program, but it should have. I'm going to be sharing this reflection time with Nina Strang. So Nina, don't let me go too long. When I was in seminary, I had a T-shirt, and I wore it to the first ministers' conference I was invited to go to during my ministerial internship. It was a gathering of Unitarian Universalist ministers from the West Coast, from Vancouver down to San Diego. And the T-shirt was a big white T-shirt, oversized, and there were stick figures marching together under a rainbow banner, and below that the words, "Armies of lovers never fail." I learned later, although I should have guessed, that this was a slogan that was carried with pride by folks who were marching and working for justice for GLBTQ plus folks. So once again, this cisgendered guy, white male, borrowed from folks whose experience was very different from his. But the T-shirt sparked the conversation that I hoped it would. Not only did they think I was cool for wearing it, which really was the intent, because, you know, when you're starting out with a new group of people, you worry about whether you're going to fit in, at least if you're me. But more important with that was the conversation among the ministers over a lunch table that first day about, are our congregations like armies of lovers? And we never answered that question. I've never felt like a general. And when I was talking to Carol on Friday, wondering if she felt like a general, she blanched. No, we're not exactly an army, but we are people doing what we can to bring more love into this world. It's not always easy. Especially now, as you'll hear from Nina, when left and right, it looks like the rights and the position in society that folks who perhaps love a little differently, no, they love the same, but their object of their love may be a little differently, and they feel a little different inside, are having to fight for their place at the table like we haven't in a while. I remember years ago reading this book. It's on androgyny by a woman named June Singer, and the subtitle is The Opposites Within. Although I sign my books when I buy them, I signed this 2001, I remember reading it as an undergraduate, which would have been 15 or so years before then. And I remember talking with one of my mentors in life who said, "You're reading that in the 80s? It was published in 76. I read that when it first came out. You mean there's nothing new now?" Well, it wasn't long before, instead of androgyny, we were talking about non-binary, a phrase that still rings with question marks for many of us today. And I consider myself one of those dinosaurs who misgenders people as often as I gender them correctly. It's a deep learning that needs to happen. And I remember When extended family gathered for the holidays, after the dinner, it would always seem that the men would end up in the living room. Maybe there would be a football game on, but the men would be talking about manly things. And the woman would be in the kitchen, and one or two would be cleaning up, and the rest would be drinking wine, and they would be talking. And I found myself comfortable in neither space. I would go back and forth, and back and forth. And I was welcomed in both spaces. That was lovely and wonderful. The thing is, I may not have felt at home in either space exactly, but at least I knew I felt comfortable in my own skin. And so many people throughout the history of our species, not just more recently as we're talking about it, have not felt comfortable in their own skin. I remember when I was in seminary in Berkeley, I got a call from a former housemate from St. Paul from undergraduate days, Mark. Mark was visiting San Francisco. During the course of our conversation, I hadn't heard from Mark in 5-10 years. During the course of the conversation, the timbre of Mark's voice started going up, and then it would go back down, and then it would go back up. And I said, Mark, this has happened several times during our conversation. What's going on? And they said, most people know me as Maggie now, Eric. I'm no longer Mark. Oh. So the woman who would become my first wife and I went into San Francisco a few days later, and we had dinner with Maggie. And Maggie liked fine things. We spent a little too much at that dinner, but it was a long dinner with wine and good food and dessert. And it was so fascinating to see someone I knew as Mark, as Maggie. There were similarities, absolute similarities, and also utter differences. And on the way back home on light rail, Jennifer turned to me and said, if you hadn't told me that she had been your roommate named Mark, I never would have known. She passed completely as a man. And later, I was in a clergy support group, and one of our members was a woman who was beginning to transition. He felt more like a man, and relayed a conversation with their mother. And the mother said something to the effect of, this isn't surprising me at all, love. I've wondered about you in this way for years. You may not remember it, but when you were 3, for months you wanted a beard. And it took forever. I don't know if you ever outgrew it. Obviously, maybe now you haven't. And my colleague now has that beard they wanted from the age of 3. There is nothing, or at least very, very little, under the sun in what it comes to be human beings. Non-binary is true, it's real, and we need to give it the space it's due. We need to give those who feel themselves that way the space they're due. Nina, will you take it from here? Thank you.
I share my reflection in honor of Mikan Cooper. Mikan, who also used the name DC, was a non-binary poet and social justice activist and was 27 years old at the time of their death. They were active in Unitarian Universalist young adult communities across Canada and the United States. They were connected to the North Shore Unitarians. Mikan was killed by the RCMP on November 12, 2022. May Mikan's memory be a blessing. May their impact in social justice and the arts be carried forward by those who had the honor to witness Mikan shine. I didn't personally know Mikan, but I feel connected to them. We have both struggled with mental health issues, both non-binary UUs, both poets, both passionate about social justice. I'm the age Mikan was when they died. I would love to have had the opportunities to spend time with them, see what other threads we share in this quilt of life. Many trans and non-binary people I know are regularly experiencing fear or are traumatized, tragically desensitized, or numb due to the attacks on our community and its members. I have found myself feeling more anxious about the way I express my gender in public spaces in the past 2 years. I'm not as open as I used to be in some ways. In spaces that aren't loudly inclusive, I feel nervous to share pieces of who I am because I don't know how others will respond. I have spent many years of my life struggling to improve my mental health, get stable housing, and trying to navigate the broken support system we have here in Ottawa. I kept falling through the cracks in the system, usually due in some way to marginalization. Every time I fell, I dreamed of a day I could keep other people from falling through the same cracks I kept finding myself in. That's what kept me going when I could barely see the hope, that no one should have to go through what I have gone through. I dreamed of fighting to fill in those cracks, or better yet, stop them from happening in the first place. We've come a long way over the last 2 decades in terms of inclusion, acceptance, rights, and safety. And right now, we are a hateful obsession of some people who are saying the quiet part of their thoughts proudly and loudly. I firmly believe it is not enough to combat hate when we see it, though that is important. It is not enough to counter protest when groups are advocating to deny trans people rights. In our day-to-day life, we can learn to lead with, or be led by, love and compassion. This week, I participated in a webinar hosted by Canadian trans advocate Faye Johnstone. It was called Understanding and Addressing Rising Anti-Trans Hate, and I got a lot out of it. Faye talked about the importance of advocating and working toward communities where everyone is free to be themselves, safe in our neighborhoods, and treated with dignity. So what does that look like? What can we do? What can non-trans people do to support trans people? The answer is a lot. One way is to continue listening and learning about trans people through our own words. There are many resources out there to find out what different words mean, what our history is, and what we are currently experiencing. Faye talked about how seemingly small things, like talking with a neighbor or family member when they say something uninformed or seem a little ignorant, is a great start too. We can learn to come to these conversations with love and compassion, recognizing that people don't know what they don't know. Many people have only heard about trans people from misinformation or false facts and haven't been exposed to other perspectives. I'm going to borrow a couple questions from Living Room Conversations, a resource for ways to communicate about different topics across divides. Where has your understanding of the 2S LGBTQIA+ community come from? How has it shifted over time for you? Where has your understanding come from? A powerful way to reach someone is to be curious, stick to shared values, and come with a vision we can all get behind. Being free to be ourselves, safe in our neighborhoods and communities, and treated with dignity and respect. I do more than dream of a better world these days like I previously have. I'm an active participant in building something better. I believe we are all qualified to make a difference in the world, and even a seemingly small gesture can have a grand impact when we consider how interconnected this web of life really is. I recently saw a quote by Adam Grant about hope that spoke to me. He said, "Hope is not blind faith that things will get better. It's a realistic belief that things can get better. Hope is an appreciation of possibility. Hope is an appreciation of possibility that things can get better." And I find so much hope within this congregation, in the Ottawa community, and in the world. It then goes beyond hope to faith and trust for me. Faith that things will continue to get better. Trust that we are not alone in our social justice and other compassionate endeavors. There is good work being done. Caring people are abundant. I see hope in each conversation where minds open a little bit. I see hope in each person striving to live our shared principles and the values that lie within them. I see hope in all of you for listening to me speak on this. We have lost many people, trans and cisgender, to untimely deaths that are rooted in oppression. And at the same time, people are working, being the change, to combat oppression at its roots and its thorns simultaneously. I'd like to end on a poem I wrote in honor of Trans Day of Remembrance called Trans Deaths Matter. This poem to me speaks to honoring those who have lost their lives, as well as navigating living in the aftermath of those deaths. This is for Mikan and all others we have lost so senselessly. Trans deaths matter, lives lost in their prime, hearts not just broken but shattered, those left behind learning healing takes time. Grief is love life left behind. Let's put that love to good use. What's lost can teach there's something to find. We can love ocean deep again if we choose. Trans people have always existed, woven into the fabric of life, each thread a story of trans survival, each thread part of a transforming world. May one day all trans people thrive. Life was lost, and love is left. It's ever flowing day after day. To keep it all is close to theft. Keep some, give the rest away. Thank you for this opportunity. May one day all trans people thrive.
Nina, just a few more words of gratitude for your sharing today. Thank you for being here. I invite the ushers to start passing the baskets at this time. This congregation has a long history of care, vitality, and bringing people together to move the arc of justice forward. We have been able to live into our hopes and dreams because of the generosity of those within and beyond this community. So whether you're here in Worship Hall or anywhere else, you are a part of our community. To make a gift in support of the work of this congregation, you don't need to use the baskets that are now beginning to make their way among the pews. Wherever you are, you're invited to go to our website or contact our finance manager to find out how you can make a donation or keep up with your pledge. Our gifts are freely given and gratefully received. We dedicate these gifts to the work of this community of faith, serving human wholeness, caring for the planet, upholding religious freedom, welcoming the stranger, loving one another. And now let us sing together once more. Please rise and body your spirit as we sing Courage to Be Who We Are. The words should be up on screen.
We are here in the memory of those
Before we begin to close this time of worship, beautiful song and reflection, a reminder that coffee hour will begin in Fellowship Hall immediately after this service. If you are new here or still feel new, or simply welcome a deep conversation today, when you go into Fellowship Hall, grab something that looks like this, a colored mug, a green mug. Doing so will help other folks identify you as someone who invites a conversation. And as always, leafy greens, a courtesy of the good folks of Ajaski, are available for those who would like some from the Grow Towers in the old volunteer room. I don't know, did the Grow Towers get set back up? No, skip that part. Sorry. No leafy greens today, folks. I'm sorry. Now, as we extinguish our chalice, may these words from Dawn Markova be our guide. May you live a loved life. May you never diminish in your mind or limit your heart. May you stand calm in a wide moment between sky that lifts you and gravity that grounds you. May you let loving unfurl you, then give you away. May you pass life forward, so that which comes from those before you and that which grows in those next to you go on to those who will follow you, each and every one. This morning's chalice is extinguished, but the spark of our connections and faith remains. And now let's sing, as we always do at the end of our services, Spirit of Life, both in English and then in French. Please rise if you will. As now we return to the challenge of helping the world come alive in love, go with that love in your step and in your heart. Go in peace, my friends. Go to love once more.